It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, the 29th of October 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Alexandra, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. The General Prosecutor has forwarded materials to Tirana's prosecution regarding the Mayor of Vora, Agim Kaimaku, who is accused of having forged the decriminalisation form. The materials were also forwarded to the Central Election Commission after the letter from Greece confirming Kaimaku's detention. Interpol Greece's and Interpol Tirana's response to the General Prosecution has shown that Agim Kaimaku's fingerprints are the same as Yorgo Toto's, who was arrested in Greece. Kaimaku did not declare this sentence when he ran for the June 30th elections under the Socialist Party. In a response to the prosecution, the Mayor of Vora stated that he did not know that he was under investigation by Greece, nor that he should have stated it in the form, further explaining that he had first learned this from the media. According to the law, officials who lie on the decriminalisation form risk being sentenced up to 4 years in prison. The denunciation of Kaimaku was made by the Democratic Party, which accused him of being arrested in Greece under a different name, Yorgo Toto. The Democratic Party published a decision of the Ioannina Prosecutor's Office in court dated June 19, 2003, stating that he was arrested in January 2003 in Ioannina for the purchase of seedlings and other plants with counterfeit money. Following the request made by the General Prosecution to remove the mandate, it will be the Central Election Commission that will ultimately decide the fate of the Mayor of Vora. Arta Vorpsi, Elsa Tosca and Fiona Papageorgi urged the MPs in the Law Commission to select them for the 2 vacancies of the Constitutional Court. The 3 potential candidates revealed to the politicians their vision of an operational constitutional court, which has been dysfunctional for the past 2 years. Worrying the new opposition, however, is the fact that Vorpsi, Tosca and Papageorgi did not pass the test to be admitted to the School of Magistrates. President Ilir Meta has selected Besnik Muci for the first vacancy for the Constitutional Court, while the deadline for the next member between Arta Vorpsi, Fiona Papageorgi and Elsa Tosca ends on November 8. On the other hand, the Parliament has time until November 14 to elect 2 members of the Constitutional Court for the 2 vacancies. If the head of state, with the claim that the Assembly should elect the 2nd member and then Meta the 3rd, exceeds the term prescribed by law, then the first on the list, Arta Vorpsi, automatically becomes a Constitutional Court member. In this logic, at the November 14th session, with the votes of the Socialist Party and the new opposition, Elsa Tosca and Fiona Papageorgi will be elected by Parliament. Although students have long raised their voice about a number of requirements and improving dormitory conditions, they say their demands continue to fall on deaf ears. According to students, the Ministry of Education is not supporting them in terms of accommodation and other requirements. Enrolled students who come to live in the dormitories of Tirana's student city are required to pay 45,000 lek per academic year, which provides them with a bed in a room shared by a total of 3 people. Following the property abuse scandal in Cape of Rodon and in Jiri Lalzit, the Cadastre General Director Artan Lame warns of similar grave situations throughout the country. According to the 6-month analysis by the head of the Cadastre, it has resulted that in 25 years more damage has been done than during the entire time of the dictatorship. What happened to property in this quarter of the century in Albania far exceeds what happened in the previous half-century. The map of property abuse covers the whole territory of the Republic of Albania. And these abuses occur in areas of economic interest. So it is precisely in areas where the country and the economy need to be more open to the map of investment, development and free initiative that have inherited property problems that block most of the investment, said Lame. According to Lame, no individual should be able to own the land of ports, such as in Shëngjin, or actual areas of sea. We will face these issues further on the Jiri Lalzit and Shëngjin coasts. In Shëngjin, it turns out that the land which hosts the port dock somehow has a private owner today. We will encounter these problems on the coast of Veripoja, where parts of marshes that have been underwater for thousands of years have somehow been divided as if they were wheat crops, said Artan Lame. Given the conditions, the Cadastre has warned that they will refer the cases to the prosecution if deemed necessary. One of the worst abuses recently identified was in connection with the Cape of Rodon, where 9 former property registration officials have since been jailed. Businesses that do not supply an appropriate invoice for the purchase of goods will soon be fined from 50,000 to 150,000 lek. The new structures of penalties is foreseen in the amendments to the fiscal package, which, after consideration by the government, will be submitted to Parliament for a vote. According to the current law, the fine goes up to 100% of the undeclared goods tax, but it seems that this punitive measure is not working as a deterrent for abuse, and as such, a value correction has been determined as necessary. The draft envisions dividing the subjects into 3 lines. For taxpayers who are not registered for VAT, whose turnover goes up to 2 million lek, the fine can reach up to 50,000 lek. For medium businesses whose turnover goes up to 8 million lek, the penalty could reach 100,000 lek. And for larger entities, the value amounts to 150,000 lek for appropriate invoicing of associated goods. Should a business receive 3 strikes for non-issuance of invoices, then the measure to be applied is that of criminal prosecution. However, the new draft law also envisions a re-evaluation of the taxation on goods, thus aggravating the likelihood punitive measures being applied. The Ministry of Finance is scheduled to start in online invoicing in January. These changes are likely aimed to unify the applicable penalties. Changes to the fines under the fiscalisation process, according to Finance Minister Anila Denai, have been made to help businesses. The draft laws of the fiscal package for 2020 predict fines at escalating rates in line with the size of a business. Meanwhile, the minister stressed that another facility is the removal of the blocking of activity from the moment the fine is repaid. The Ministry of Finance has announced that the budget for 2020 is also in the consultation phase, while the arrears will be in the spotlight. These statements came after a financial management conference where the International Monetary Fund reiterated the need for caution from the effects of PPP projects as well as from arrears. The arrears in the first half of the year that were created by public institutions to the state budget amounted to approximately $80 million. The bulk of them are held by the Ministry of Infrastructure and Energy, mainly for investments in road infrastructure. The refusal by the European Union to open membership negotiations risks jeopardising the historic Prespa agreement that Skopje and Athens signed last June. The agreement ended the decade-long dispute over North Macedonia's name, but Prime Minister Zoran Zaev explains in an interview with news agency Euronews that the 2 processes are closely linked. Our friends in Greece know that we agreed to change the name because of the future in the European Union. Now, some of the essential chapters of the agreement may be frozen and, as such, not implemented. We will try our best, but when we are known to have handed over our state sovereignty in exchange for funds to the European Union, these things are very interlinked, said Zaev. Commenting on France's veto against starting talks with Albania and North Macedonia's head executive says the European family is the only hope for the Western Balkans. We have no other alternative. Other offers may not provide us with democracy, law enforcement and freedom. If we turn out the light to the stars of the European Union, we will be here in the dark. And in the dark, we will be lost. If we create the environment for radicalism, for the revival of nationalism, we will greatly damage the Balkans. And when the Balkans have a problem, Europe has a problem, said Zaev. The same topics will be the focus of discussions that Zaev will hold during the day with Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte in Rome and later in Brussels with EU Chief Diplomat Federica Mogherini. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.